This Haitian woman is trying to figure out if she overreacted after her Dominican mother-in-law has been making colorist comments about her 1-year-old daughter. Now, what set her over the edge, because she's been making these comments since the baby was born, but what really set her over the edge is when she said that the baby needs to spend as little time outside as possible so that she can continue to keep getting lighter so that she could be cute like her brother. Keep in mind, her and her husband have 2 kids together. An older son who's like 6 years old. He is of lighter complexion, looks more like his dad, and then their baby girl who is more of a chocolate complexion like her mom. Now, to make matters worse, her husband is currently deployed and she's trying to get all of this sorted before he's back in August. You already know what time it is. Story time. Let's go ahead and get into it. And before anyone tries to come for me about including the nationality, she asked that I do that because she said that it would give some context. That said, her and her husband have been together for almost 10 years, married for 7. For a majority of the time, though, her mother-in-law was living in the DR. It wasn't until 3 years ago that she came to the States. When she initially came, she was living with her sister-in-law, but they had some issues between the mother-in-law and her brother-in-law. Following that, her sister-in-law's husband asked the mom to leave because he was just like, this cannot continue. Now, in that moment, she didn't really get additional details as far as like what happened, what led to her being put out or anything like that. It was more so like, her husband came to her and was like, hey, like, here's what happened. Here's the situation. Is it okay if my mother-in-law comes and stays with us? Now, keep in mind, she is pregnant. And so, she's thinking about, what's going to happen after the baby is born. She knew that her husband was going to be getting deployed and all that jazz. And so the timing made sense for her. So when her husband kind of explained the situation, she's like, yeah, no problem. Like, especially because her mother-in-law had been talking to her, talking about, how she's excited to help with the kids, and because, her mother was no longer alive, like, she was excited to step into that role for her and support her, especially because she wasn't really able to be around as much with their first child. Now, being that, her sisters were not going to be able to be around because they couldn't just, drop what they had going in their lives to come and stay with her for a few months. She was like, yes, absolutely. Like 100%. Like, this is something that I am really excited about. And I'm really grateful for that she's able to actually come in and provide support in that way. But like in many situations, it was too good to be true. From the day that she brought the baby home, her mother-in-law started making comments about the baby's complexion. She even caught her a few times chatting to her friends in Spanish about her concerns with the baby being darker. When the baby was about 3 months old, that's when her husband left for his deployment. This was also when the mother-in-law's comments like escalated and became more frequent. Now, keep in mind, while the husband was there, like, she would only make these comments like towards her or when she was around. So the husband actually never heard any of these comments, and she didn't want to create any tension between, her husband and his mom. So she didn't say anything to him about the comments either. When she spoke to her sister-in-law about it, her sister-in-law told her to nip it in the bud immediately, as her mother-in-law had always been a colorist. Her sister-in-law shared comments she has made about her since she was young because of her darker complexion. She let her know that a major problem in their relationship is her mom telling her that she's not pretty and making suggestions on things that she could do, including lightening her complexion to look better, in addition to changing her hair texture to make it more manageable. She also shared that the reason why they asked her to leave was that her husband got tired of listening to her be disrespectful to her own daughter. After hearing the sister-in-law out, she decided that she wanted to approach her mother-in-law to have a conversation. But then the mother-in-law started crying, talking about, she's just trying to find an excuse to put her out and create issues between her and her son. So she left it alone because, it escalated way too quickly. And that's not really what she was going for. She was just hoping that they could have, a decent conversation and really get to the bottom of it and nip it in the bud. But when the lady, started crying, screaming, yelling, she was like, what, let me just go ahead and take my foot off the gas because I don't want these issues. In her mind, she convinced herself, that the comments are not that bad. Like, she'll just continue to try to deal with it for as long as she can. That was until Memorial Day weekend when she made a comment about her daughter needing to be inside as much as possible so that she could get lighter and be cute like her brother. She said she doesn't even know what came over her. She just started going off on the lady to the point that the woman started crying, like bawling, crying. They haven't spoken directly since. Now, she still helps out with the kids, but she's been avoiding her. While they've both spoken to her husband, neither of them has said anything about the ongoing tension in the house. She's trying to figure out, is there a peaceful option to resolve this, as everyone that she's spoken to has told her that she's not in the wrong outside of not letting her husband know what was going on. Other than that, she doesn't owe that woman an apology. Now, she feels bad, though, because ideally she wants to have a good relationship with her mother-in-law, but she will not tolerate the continuation of the colorist comments about her daughter.